I really kind of cringe when I hear you say that a man was more likely to be in the home during slavery. It makes me cringe because it's so illogical. Where was a slave going to go? He was a male. His wife was a slave also. His kids were enslaved. He couldn't just up and leave. He had no option but to stay. He couldn't just decide he was going to take off at any point. If he left, it was by force, and if he stayed, you can argue that was by force as well. He had no other option but to stay. So that's not a good analogy to use slavery, that a slave was more likely to be in the home. Of course he was. I just don't think that's a logical point. I agree with what your overall premise is, but I just don't like that analogy. Thank you.
Now, as I said yesterday, that's a pretty stunning statement that he's implying here, that the only reason the man is staying with his woman and with the children that he's produced with that woman is because he's forced to. And I said, you have no idea the extent to which black families that were torn asunder because of slavery, when it was over, tried to reconnect. This is from digitalhistory.uh.edu. Quote, most slaves had lived in family units, although they faced the constant threat of separation from loved ones by sale. Freed people made remarkable efforts to locate loved ones. A northern reporter in 1865 encountered a former slave who had walked more than 600 miles searching for his wife and children from whom he had been sold away during slavery. Even as enslaved people, African Americans maintained strong family ties. After emancipation, African Americans struggled to reunite families that had been disrupted by sale, and many couples legalized their marriages. End of quote. This is from NPR. Headline, After Slavery, Searching for Loved Ones in Wanted Ads. And this is about a project put together called Last Seen, Finding Family After Slavery. This is a collection of ads that were placed in newspapers from slaves looking for loved ones who had been sold by other people, sold elsewhere to other people. Wanted by mother concerning her children. And then more than 900 of these information wanted notices placed by African Americans separated by war, slavery, and emancipation had been digitized in a project called Last Seen. Ads date from 1863 to 1902, coming from 6 newspapers. Here's another one. Equal Justice Initiative, headline, Families Torn Apart by Slavery, Desperately Sought Reunion After Emancipation. Your call implies the only reason the men stayed with their women and with their children is because old massa forced them to. My goodness. And I'm a bigot. Have any idea how desperately blacks wanted to find their husbands and wives, even they had these illegal marriages? Again, censuses show 1880, 1890, blacks more likely to be married than whites, kids more likely to be raised by a nuclear family than whites. I'm Larry Elder.